more people in Ireland reflecting on the relationship with alcohol, St Patrick's Day offers an opportunity to celebrate in a different way. So to discuss the growing shift towards moderation and how people can approach the bank holiday with greater awareness, I'm joined by the manager of Bushypark Addiction Treatment Centre, Meadhbh Firmino de Silva Santos. Meadhbh, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Alan. Thank you for having me on.
Appreciate you making time for us. And St Patrick's Day, stating the obvious, Meadhbh, traditionally seen as a big celebration in Ireland. From your perspective, though, how, even if there is perhaps a changing mood in Ireland towards moderation, and we'll touch on that maybe in just a bit, how closely is St Patrick's Day linked with alcohol in our culture?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think there's a very strong link. I think that St. Patrick's Day, although, it is a wonderful day for us to celebrate our heritage and our culture, I think that, traditionally we have, it has also been associated with increase in binge drinking and drinking culture, and that perhaps much of the celebrations circulate around the pub and alcohol-related events, and I think that's kind of common sense that people would accept that. I suppose I'm just looking at the weekend ahead as well, and we have some sporting events as well that might also increase. So I think we're potentially heading into a long weekend, a bank holiday, where there could be certainly excessive drinking as part of the celebration.
And we've certainly chatted before, Meadhbh, on Morning Focus about the changing attitude in Ireland towards our relationship with drink. And maybe, I think in the past we focused on maybe that's coming predominantly from the younger generation. But new research from DrinkAware showing that more people, maybe regardless of age, reflecting on the relationship with alcohol, it suggests over a third of drinkers would actually like to drink less often. I wonder how much that surprises you or you find pleasing to some degree.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's very, very positive, and I do think that the DrinkAware Drink Barometer is a good sense of where people's attitude towards problem drinking and excessive drinking is, binge drinking. Yeah, you quite rightly say, Alan, that there is an increase in all categories, with 36% of drinkers saying they'd like to drink less often, and additionally 2 in 3 adults feeling comfortable choosing no or low alcohol drinks, and I think that that's a significant shift culturally. Furthermore, they say that they don't like socialising with people when they're drunk, and I think that's overall kind of a very positive shift in our relationship with drink. I think that the DrinkAware campaign, the Here's to Change, I think it's quite positive. It's not necessarily asking people to look at not drinking at all, but that may be making choices that work for them, and that might mean just drinking less or choosing alcohol-free alternatives. So it's all positive, and as you flagged, I think our younger people are definitely more open to behaviours that would support moderation, and I think a real kind of a health focus in that, and being aware of the health implications of excessive drinking. So that's all very positive.
I suppose, though, regardless of whether generally all year round or most of the year round, there is more of a leaning towards moderation. St. Patrick's weekend, as you touched on, or even big sporting occasions. Meadhbh, if this weekend we beat Scotland, and if somehow England, although recent form suggests it might be difficult, do us a favour and beat France and things work in our favour stats-wise, and we win the Six Nations, and those kind of occasions can come with an expectation to go all out, and some may find that kind of social pressure quite difficult.
Absolutely. I think there's certainly I certainly would agree with you on that, and I think that the DrinkAware research would back that up also. I mean, very interesting what they're saying from their website is that 17% of adult drinkers noted that bank holidays led them to increase their alcohol consumption, and then when it came to major sporting events, that 14% of adult drinkers led to an increase in their alcohol consumption, and if we look at the men, that goes up to 21%. So those statistics are quite significant, Alan. So I suppose suppose we're not imagining it. We do our bank holiday celebrations and our major sporting events do tend to still, as it is at the moment, still revolve around alcohol. So I think that's why the campaign such as Here's to Change is really positive. It's really promoting more mindful drinking, that not necessarily, that if you're out watching sports or if you're out celebrating St. Patrick's Day, that you would focus on the game or, the parade rather than the drinks, So that's all. I think that's within everybody's control. That's something that I think we'd all benefit hugely from.
And in terms of that phrase, mindful drinking, is that really what it means, Meadhbh, that you're focusing more on the particular event than the drinking? Or coupled with that, does it mean thinking about each drink you have or how many you intend to have and knowing when to draw a line under it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's a very helpful concept. If we look at it for all of us who do consume alcohol, it isn't necessarily about complete abstinence necessarily, but it might be just actively asking yourself when you're taking a drink, without judgment, why am I having a drink? Do I really want this drink? And perhaps in some cases will drinking this lead to negative outcomes. So I think overall that helps people individually to form a healthier relationship with alcohol, and that certainly has knock-on effects for people's health. And I suppose what we're talking about, Alan, is perhaps not people who are struggling with an alcohol addiction or, their alcohol use is incredibly problematic and causing huge negative consequences. I think the Drink Mindfully campaign encompasses everybody who takes a drink and who uses alcohol, regularly or somewhat.
So Meadhbh, in terms of tips and advice then, what kind of small steps can people take if they want to enjoy the celebrations but avoid overdoing it? What are some practical tips for them to keep that consumption alcohol under control?
Yeah, I think fundamentally, Alan, it's all about just having an awareness around it. I think, there's some really practical tips that Drink Aware offer around just setting a personal limit before you go out. So if if you're almost proactive in terms of saying, look, this is how much I'm going to drink today or tonight, and sticking to that, and some helpful ways of maybe kind of sticking to that without, while still being able to enjoy a drink, is perhaps alternating alcoholic drinks with water or a no alcohol option. And certainly, they would recommend that people would eat before and during drinking, and that might in some way also lessen a kind of the negative impact of excessive drinking. I suppose it's about really just planning ahead and, maybe considering a sober event or a daytime event that can be equally enjoyable. And I think going back to the mindful drinking, just thinking about your reason for drinking. I think all of these things just really support people to make positive choices and build a healthier relationship with alcohol by drinking less.
If someone feels their drinking has become a problem, what signs should they look out for, and where can people turn for support if they're concerned? Obviously yourselves, but I'm sure there are other services too.
Absolutely, Alan. I think if a person was out there and they were, getting concerned about their drinking behaviour, perhaps it becomes a little bit of a preoccupation, or they struggle to, socialise or plan events without alcohol being present. Perhaps their relationships are starting to be impacted. Perhaps their drinking is leading them to get in trouble with friends or family members. They might be, there might be an impact in terms of their work and ability to attend work. I think if you're worried about your drinking, I think it's great to explore it. We offer a residential treatment, as you know, here in Bushypark, but we are quite blessed in the Midwest to have some excellent community-based services such as the Integrated Alcohol Service and the HSE Drug and Alcohol Service, both of which are very accessible and provide counselling and project work support for people who are perhaps wanting to reduce their drinking or perhaps wanting to abstain entirely. So I think reaching out is always the first step, and some people might find that difficult. And I suppose I'd like to also say that, sometimes family members can be impacted by other people's drinking, and that not necessarily their family member is in a place where they would like to reach out for help. But I would like to say that we at Bushypark, we do support family members who are impacted by their loved ones drinking, drug use or gambling, and that service is entirely free of charge and is entirely independent of whether their loved one is ready to reach out for support as well.
Okay, we do have to leave it there, but Meadhbh, always appreciate you joining us on the show, and we wish you an early happy St. Patrick's Day and hope you enjoy the celebrations. Thanks for being with us on the show.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's Meadhbh Firmino de Silva Santos, the manager of Bushypark Addiction Treatment Centre.